All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going live at exactly 11 o'clock on the dot. Stay tuned as we'll be starting shortly. If you're here in the lobby, please tell us where you're calling in from today. I am located in Toronto, Ontario, in the Great White North known as Canada. If you're also Canadian or from somewhere else in the world, feel free to drop a quick comment and let us know where you're calling in from. For some of the new folks that's joining into the lobby right now, welcome. We're going to be starting at 11 o'clock on the dot. Let us know where you're calling in from today. Okay, it looks like some new folks just joined as well too. Welcome, welcome. All right, beautiful. I would love to welcome everybody here. We have an exciting webinar coming up ahead. We'll be talking about AI and project management. And we'll be sharing on the live webinar how you're going to build a custom project management application in under 30 minutes today. So we have a very exciting webinar. I'm your host, Marcus. I lead sales and go-to-market here at Codeless One. For today's speakers, we're joined by Asif, our founder at Modern Requirements, co-pilot for DevOps, and if you're on social media, and just feel free to plug in your phone here and scan the barcode so we can connect on social media here. Excellent. And for those of the folks that are just joining, if you're active on social media, follow us on LinkedIn, just scan the barcode and it'll plug in our LinkedIn handles. Excellent. So for some of the new folks joining us here today, we serve some of the world's leading brands through our parent company, Modern Requirements. Requirements software built specifically for Azure DevOps. We also have a Copilot for DevOps, our AI assistant for Azure DevOps. And the topic of today's discussion, we are here to talk about Codeless One, our no-code platform. Now, we've taken a fundamentally different approach with Codeless One. Traditionally, if you were to build a custom application from scratch, you'd have to work with a development team, work back and forth and iterate on your requirements, and then perform and write the hard code in order to get the application live. We're going to show you today how you can prompt your way into an application in under 30 minutes on today's call. Now, what are some of the types of applications you can build on Codeless One? Well, you can build anything from an enterprise resource planning platform all the way to a project management tool on Codeless One. But here's the real question here. Why even build an application? What's really happening in the project management space where you should consider taking a different approach? Well, if we look at some of the high level insights here from executive survey respondents, Gartner conducted a study and over 62% said that their teams, the project management tools were too rigid or slow to set up. Another metric here from VMware's indicates that they're still in 2025, a lot of teams are still using Excel as their main source of project management, or even, communicating back and forth on Slack and on Outlook email. And then finally, over 82% of senior leaders expect AI to have a massive impact on the way projects are being run. Okay. but what does that look like in practice? We'd love to hear from some of the folks here today. What are some of the common challenges with your project management tools today? We're going to launch a poll here to get your feedback and really understand what are some of the biggest challenges when it comes to your current project management tools. All right, so you should see a poll coming up in a few minutes here, and the poll is live. Are they too rigid or hard to customize? Maybe they're challenging to set up and maintain. They collect data, but it doesn't turn it into insights. As project managers, there are several different requirements you may have to deal with, and those are constantly evolving. So, what are some of the biggest challenges? It looks like they don't adapt when things change. Okay, that's definitely something that we often hear a lot as well too. So we'll give a couple more seconds here for the live poll, and it seems like that's definitely one of the biggest challenges. Okay, so I'm going to close the poll in about 10 seconds here. Any last minute votes? All right, so the biggest challenge is that the tools don't adapt ultimately, right? So let's talk about that change that's happening right now and what that looks like in practice. Okay. So earlier, some of the challenges folks mentioned were the tools don't adapt. And it's likely because these tools and project management solutions, when you use one, they offer a static template. Maybe they're disconnected from some of the other tools you're currently using, so the data doesn't flow fluidly and doesn't power the right insights. Or maybe folks are spending too much time actually updating records or performing data entry, which creates bottlenecks for when you're using these tools. Well, there's definitely a shift that's happening in real time right now to what several experts are calling adaptive system. With AI becoming so prevalent, um, tools are becoming more dynamic. So what we're going to be showing you shortly is how you can automatically make configurations using AI that are custom to the way you work and the way your business processes are designed. And most importantly, we're going to show you what that looks like in practice on one unified platform. So I'm going to be inviting our guest today, our founder, Asif Sharif, to talk a little bit about that and also demo us building a project management app from scratch. Asif, how's it going on this fine morning on your end here?
Excellent. Excellent. It's a wonderful day here in Kingston. It's well, it was sunny a little while ago, but it's still not too bad.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I think you have some exciting solution to show some of the folks here looking to see how we can build a project management solution from scratch, right?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. Well, the
So
floor is yours
let's
whenever you're ready.
do this. Let me share my screen. All right, guys. So what we'll do is we'll be taking a look at Codeless One. This is a modern requirements product. Many of you probably are familiar with modern requirements. We have a requirements management tool, an AI tool in the requirement space, but Codeless One is to really complement that. Now, the whole intent of Codeless One is that we can build applications very quickly. So, how do we build it? Um, so let's start by building an application for project management. Um, so when you create a new app, you simply click on new app, you give it, there's two different ways you can do it. The first one is an interactive approach. The other is where you give the information and then two different bots or AI agents will discuss, collaborate, and build the app for you. Let me take option number one. I'll call it project management for model requirements. I can give it a description. I can also upload my requirements document or any other documents that are relevant. And then when uh, Codeless One builds the application for you, it'll consider the content in it. But for now, I'm going to take the easiest path and just give it a name. Now, the name has to be relevant, meaningful. Otherwise, you can give it a bit of a description. And we go next. So at this point in time, what the system does is identifies what are the different types of objects, information that needs to be managed by the application. So we need to have projects, we need to have tasks, milestones. Actually, you know what I'll do is I'll just use tasks for milestones, as in a traditional project management approach. We'll have resources. We want time entry. That's good. Maybe we want to manage our risks or issues, and so on and so forth. So you can choose what objects you want. And for if there are objects you are not listed here, you can ask for more, and it'll give you other options. You can go for ask you to create a new object. You can just define a new object right there and then. And again, same thing goes for properties. So for properties, for example, under project, I've got different states. I could edit the states I have. I can add other ones as need be. So for example, if I want to do a state called approved, maybe a state called rejected. So that if we implement a workflow on the project on approval, we can have those states in it. So I can always modify, add more properties either through AI recommendation or manually. Okay. Once you're happy with the objects, and of course, this is just a starting point. As we evolve, we'll be able to add things later on using AI or manually. And so, what we need is a good starting point. So, let's say we are fine with this. We'll go next. So, the next step is where the system will recommend the different relationships between objects. So, it's saying that one project can have many tasks, a project can have many resources. Actually, you know what? We'll do this where a project can have many resources. The resource can also be in many projects. So we'll change the cardinality there. A task can have many resources. Yeah, I guess we could manage resource at the task level as well. A task can have many time entry. That's fair. A project can have many risks. A project can have many issues. I think that that's probably a good structure to begin with. Again, you can see the system gave you most of it. We slightly fine tuned it. And then the next step, the system is recommending what are the different views you want. Okay. So everything should have a table view. Some of these things have split views. Um, Actually, you know what? I like split view to be everywhere. Um, Kanban is, yeah, I think this is fine. Card view, Gantt chart. And yeah, for project and task, we'll keep the Gantt chart because, of course, for project management, we need Gantt charts. We'll go next. So at this point, the system is further analyzing what other configuration may be required. And one of the configuration you might need is portals. Portals are different ways to um, provide different views to different stakeholders. But you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to not have so many portals. I'm just going to remove the, I'll just keep the master portal and maybe the time tracking, the time management portal. So I'll keep these two there. And but you can define your own portals as well. And the portals basically say a user is assigned to a portal and they can do certain things there. So it's sort of providing a sub view to the project information. And then you can choose where you want the navigation. Do you want the navigation at the top or to the left bar? You can upload your own logo to personalize it. And then you go next. And this is the last step before we tell Codeless One to go do its magic, right? Where it will come up with all the UIs, the back end, the front end, and glue it together and make it awesome very quickly. So it's right now analyzing what are the different roles we need, and what rights they're going to have, and all of that. So in this case, it's just saying we should have an admin, a contributor, a guest, a project manager, a team lead, a resource manager, a risk analyst, if you want. Of course, we can have time tracking for everybody, so we can maybe not have a separate role for that, and so on. Okay, so you can do this, or you can define your own roles. But this is a good starting point. That's it. So at this point, we go create the app. Now, in creating the app, you have two options. You can do a quick AI setup. In this case, the system will spin and create the application for you very quickly and make it look good. Or you can use the advanced AI setup. And the advanced AI will take longer, it'll take 2, 3, 4 minutes to configure everything, and it'll spend a little bit more time thinking. But for now, let's just do a quick AI setup. So now the real magic is taking place. It's going to define a relational schema for the back end. It'll create all the front end screens. It'll glue everything, add rights, user management to it, create a dashboard, reporting, workflow management, all of it. And by the way, before I can finish my statement, what it's doing, it's already done the work. So let's go into the project management portal. And this is what it looks like. Now, to see this properly, what we'll do is we will add some data to it. Now, again, you can do a quick data or you can do AI data. I'm just going to do a quick data. AI, when you use AI generated data, the data looks better. The project names are proper as opposed to project 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but but this is really helpful to understand how these things are organized. So now we have our projects here. And yeah, so that's our starting point. Now, you might say that how do I add a project? You simply click on new and you add the project. Um, so let's say I do PRJ1, and I can choose myself because I'm the only user of the application. We can invite people from up there, but I'm going to assign that. I'm going to say this is a hype. So I'm just going to call this implement codeless one as the name of the project. And I'll just say we are just starting it, and I'll save it. So we have created a new project. Okay. Now, if you take any project and you drill down into it, you look at the details view. When I start the project, I can go in progress. Okay, so I've now in progress is there. I can look at the tasks that are linked to it. Of course, there isn't any as yet. I can create tasks. Actually, you know what we can do is go back to the projects, go to this one, and there should be tasks here. So there are tasks linked to the project. We can go to the task, navigate to it, do what we need to. You can go back to where task is linked to as well, and go back to it. You have access to, there's a history of who's doing what and when. You can have discussions on this thing. You can mention people in there as well. And so I'm going to self-reference here. Remember to do something useful, and so on. Um, and this will send a notification to whoever is mentioned. Okay. Um, so, and of course, when I go to progress, I start the project, I can mark it in progress and so on and so forth. But you see, I have a state here called approved. So let's say I do want to approve the project when it's submitted. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my application settings, and I'm going to define an approval workflow. And in the approval workflow, I'll say project approval. I'll say when a project is created by, I guess you can say who you want or all the users. And I'm going to say, okay, if it's created by either of these guys, the somebody should be approved. Now, since I've not set up roles against people, I'm just going to say, let me approve it. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say there are two actions. I can approve, reject. I can always add other actions to it. I'm going to say when it's approved, mark it as approved. When it's rejected, mark it as rejected. There is no next flow, although you can cascade approvals. And I'm going to say if you reject it, you must say why you're rejecting it. So I go there. So I've now defined a approval project approval flow. So now when I go to create a project and I go P1 and whatever you need to do in there, you define P1, you go to the approval, and you can see this P1 is now made available for me to approve. Okay. So you can see how easy it is to build the application and to configure it to do many things, like what we just did, to define an approval workflow. And of course, a business application may have many workflows. Now, of course, when you want to go to, say, tasks, and you want to do task management, you could we could go to the Gantt chart view, because that's probably the most popular view for the for project management, is to have so I'm just going to reorganize this data so that we have these things, and then I'm going to move this, and I'm going to say, you know what, when this finishes, then this should start, like so, and then maybe we'll stretch the time, and of course, if you could, obviously this was system generated, so it was, um, you could obviously say set a project and then name it accordingly. You can go to certain places and mark them as convert them to milestones and start to manage it. You can also do your critical path and baselining in it. In fact, I have a project that I've already created, the same project, but I've created data in there is, no, I think we did a portfolio management view through Gantt chart in this one. And so what you have is you have the sequence of activities and so on. They can be assigned to people, but you can also take a look at critical path. So it's marking, this is sort of in red, the critical path for the project. You can turn it off. You can have different baselines you've created, and you can compare the current state to the baseline and see how things are going. So it's a very rich a Gantt chart view in there, but it gives you other views so that you can move from a Gantt chart to, say, a Kanban, and see what things are in what state, and move them along the path, and so on and so forth, right? Um, the so you might be wondering, hey, what does the application schema look like? I mean, we saw it initially, but we didn't spend a lot of time on it. But just before I show you the schema, let me show you one other thing here. Um, if I go here and I create a task, and when I create a task here, I'm going to give it this analytics platform, um, design dashboard using codeless one. Um, and you know what? I'll just take this as the description here, although you can elaborate on it. But what I want to show you here is that there are things that we have configured that the priority and the analysis would be done by an LLM. So I'm just going to save this. And when I save it, so this particular task is created, but there are things happening in the background. Okay. So what's happening in the background is, you can see this is the one we just created, and it actually did some analysis on you and gave you the analysis. You can configure your own workflow that uses AI and give you this. And we'll take a look at what that looks like shortly. And what it also did was it gave it a priority of high, okay, based on your logic. Now you can imagine how AI could be used in so many different ways within project management to assign things to certain people, to automatically create tasks, or do risk analysis for you as things happen, or nightly. It can run a schedule on every night when it will do a variety of different things. Which then leads me to taking a look at the configuration of things. So when you want to configure things, there's a couple of areas I'll show you about configuration. So when we go to tasks, you can see this is the UI for it. Actually, let's not go to tasks. Let's go to project. This is the UI for the project. And maybe I don't like the way this is laid out. Okay. Um, and I'm going to change it. What we'll do is we'll turn on inline edit mode. So you can actually edit the application directly within the application. So I'm going to go to inline, and you'll see these orange bubbles show up. And so I'll go to new, there's a bubble in there. So I'll click on this thing. And what this will do is it gives me various options. Where do you want the labels for the fields to be? Left top. We leave that alone, but we go to the form builder. And we'll say the progress section. I don't want the progress section separately. And if I don't want it, I'll get rid of it. And if I do want it, I'll bring it in again. Okay. So I can always add it or keep it out. And if I don't want something, I can just remove it. Okay. And let's say I have this information. Now you can always edit these components manually. Okay, you can move them around, you can resize it, and so on, or you can get AI to optimize the screen for you, and then it's going to take a look at all the fields and say, okay, I think this is a good optimization, and then you can fine tune it yourself later on. So it's come up with this particular layout for us now. And let's say I like it, I'm just going to update it. and the application is updated. So now if I go back into it, this is the layout it gave me. It said start with the name, with the project manager, ask for the description, and then start for scheduling and then details and the financials and additional, right? How wonderful is this, right? And this was, we built all of this in the last few minutes. Now imagine you're talking to your stakeholders and they have a requirement. One, you could do this live with your stakeholders, or you have a meeting with your boss just before lunch, and and she gives you the requirements, and we say, you know what, let's meet right after lunch. I've got some questions. You spend 20 minutes, you spend 30 minutes, you build this out. Right after lunch, you sit with her and you say, is this what you meant? I mean, how amazing would that be that you can nearly in real time build these things, show it to people, add her to your project, and give her access to it, and then iterate through it. Right? Of course, you can do some fine tuning on it. You can configure your dashboards so the dashboard is supported natively. You can and there is a rich set of widgets you can use, and there are many variations to these within these. Um, you also have reporting in there, so you can create different types of reports and organize them and then export them as need be, and so on and so forth. Right. Of course, the primary strategy here is you can take a concept, turn it into something very real very quickly, so we can engage our stakeholders. Once you have engaged them, they can really start to give you real requirements. I mean, how many times has it happened to you where you build something and then that becomes the canvas for discussion? That's what you predicate a lot of your fine tuning and verification of your requirements, because words and visuals are not enough. You need the final product, or nearly the final product, to play with. And with Codeless One, this is a working application that you can literally launch when you are happy with the way it's operating, right? So just a couple of other things, and um, one of the things you can do is, since you can provide different people access to different things, um, different roles can have access to different data. Some objects may not be visible, other objects fields might be read only or hidden. All of that is configurable. So you can actually switch the views to see what different people can see. So you can see a guest in my configuration, if I assign somebody as a guest, cannot edit. So they will not see certain options in there. But as an admin, you can create a report, you can update it. So you can actually visualize what different roles can see. Since you build multiple portals, you can switch the portal to time tracker and then start to look at what does the time tracker application look like? What are my time entries? And so on and so forth, right? So you can easily navigate through different portals, different user views. You can also, if I go to my app settings, oh my God, this is one of my favorites. Okay, so in the app settings, what you will see is these are the objects we had defined, and then for each of the objects, um, here are the properties of it. We can always add new properties. Okay, so let's go and create a new object. So to create a new object, you can go to our AI system, which will come up with other recommendations of what you need. So we might say, hey, you know what? I do need a client object. And these are the properties it's recommending to begin with. I say, you know what? That's good. Let's create a client object. Okay. But what I may also, I have the option to create a new object yourself. So let's say I say customer feedback. Okay, we'll create a customer feedback object and then drill down into it. And now we can create our objects, our properties for that object manually, or get AI to tell us or recommend things for us. And so these are good ones. I'll take them all. Why not? Okay, we'll take them all. And so we've created a new object. I'm going to update my application so that this object becomes part of the application. So again, build out the back end, the front end, glue everything together, publish it on the app server so it becomes live. Now it is live. So you will see that now we actually have a customer feedback tab here. Okay. So we can start to create our customer feedback here. Okay. Now, but what I want to do is I want to expose the customer feedback form on our website or within our application. In order to do that, I'll just go to my app settings. I will go to shared forms, create a new form. I'll say customer feedback. We'll take the customer feedback form title. I'll just call it feedback. Please provide detailed feedback to make our product better. Okay, and then you've got a few different options. You can have a multi-step form. So there's multiple things in it. And then we'll go to configuration. So we'll say, okay, what do we need here? So I need the name. Email address is probably a good idea. I need the type. I need feedback content. But what I'll do here is I will move this down here and I'll add rating there. Yep, that's good. And we'll leave it like that. Okay. And I'll just call this I'll call it basic info. Okay. And I'll create the form. So the form is now created. Now what you can do is you can actually take your form and you can embed this on your website or just take the link and send it to somebody. And when they go paste the link, they'll get the form. And now they can go ahead and enter the information and provide you the feedback that you want. Okay. So the idea becomes that at times in your project management system, you want to expose this to different people from different places, and they can contribute without actually needing access to your application. This sort of a external view for things. Okay. Um, so really, that's how the application works. Obviously, there's a lot more power to it, like the ability to have this application in multiple languages. So let's say you support Spanish or you support French or German. So you basically choose the language you want to support, and in just a couple of minutes, the application will become multilingual. And the entire labeling, everything around the application will be multilingual. And now you can switch between languages and use this application in French if that's your preference, or you can switch to English and let that be your preference. Okay. So right now it's doing a full translation of your application. It does it automatically. Now you can provide your own labeling if that's needed and so on. But in a couple of minutes, this translation will be completed. Or it's actually done. So I'll just update my application and publish it. And the publishing has happened now. So all I have to now do as a user is go to my preferences, say, hey, I prefer to use Spanish, and this application will now support Spanish. Okay. And back to English, and so on, right? I mean, people spend so much time supporting multilingual. Now, everything we do is multilingual with a click of a button in a couple of minutes. So that's the power of Codeless One. And of course, in this case, I've shown you project management that does Gantt chart. I've shown you how you can extend it to do other things, get customer feedback into it, do project initiation and approval, and how to use AI. You have notifications in the system, and so on and so forth. So with that, Marcus, what's next?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Asif, for that demonstration. As all the folks saw on the webinar live, Asif created a project management app from scratch using AI. And then once he created that application, he used AI to perform analysis and to automate different tasks that you can would originally be doing manually here. So it looks like I just saw another vote here come in, when we asked the question, what's the biggest challenge you face with your current project management tools? It looks like um, they're too rigid or hard to customize is definitely a very prevalent challenge. Now, one of the things that's fundamentally different about Codeless One, Asif, since you still have your screen up, if you can go over to the application settings, I'd like to show the folks on the call today here, and then go over to the app model. Now, for everyone seeing the screen here, this is the backbone of an application. When you use a out-of-box project management tool, you're basically confined to the business rules that that software offers. With Codeless One, we take a fundamentally different no-code approach, where now it doesn't matter whether you're in the manufacturing industry or perhaps you're in a non-for-profit. Maybe the naming conventions of your business are very unique. The logic's unique. You can customize that now with the way this app is structured. Okay, all through the app model settings. Asif on his demonstration built this with naming conventions like projects and tasks and milestones. However, using the AI engine, you can simply continue to iterate and customize without having to collect requirements in the traditional fashion. If Asif wanted to publish a brand new object, if you click on object right now, and let's say he needed to add customer information to this, he could simply type customer, create the object, and then use AI to fill in all of the corresponding properties, right? So if he clicks on customer once it's created, and then I click on Alice AI. Now, if you need to manage customers, there's several different types of fields which can now be automatically built for you using our engine. So this is really, as Asif mentioned, the power of Codeless One. Not just app project management, but building adaptive systems is definitely changing with this technology. We'd like to get everyone's feedback here. You saw a custom project management get built using AI, and then functions within the app get automated using AI. We'd love to hear everyone's feedback on how they see this landscape evolving in the next few years. So we're going to launch our second poll now, and we'd love to hear, what do you think the next evolution of project management looks like? Our poll's going to go live in the next 10 seconds here. You should see a questionnaire pop up with a couple of multiple choice. Where do you see the evolution of project management looking like? You know, are they adaptive systems that shape around the projects? Are they tools that generate insights automatically, with AI automation, as you saw earlier? Maybe you are looking to build a workspace from natural language. If you use Copilot or GPT, you talk to it like an assistant. It gives you feedback. Why not have the same type of method when it comes to building apps or solutions for your business? Okay. Looks like fully unified platforms where data, workflows, and views sync instantly. That's definitely something we've been hearing a lot from our customers and folks in the space. Uh, We'll leave this up for another 20 seconds or so. We'd love to hear your feedback on where you see the next evolution of project management after seeing that demonstration of us building a live PM app. Okay, it looks like the poll results here are shifting up. You know, insights that are generated automatically is definitely a huge here. Okay. All right. So unification is definitely something it sounds like most of the folks here think the future is heading towards. And I think that definitely becomes more and more possible when we look at eliminating tool bloat and exploring what's possible here. Okay. And I think that is a nice segue into where the old way of project management is shifting towards the new way here. And when it comes down to it, whether that's building apps for project management, human resource management. The old way is you had a massive tech stack. Maybe you're managing individual data records on spreadsheets. Maybe you have a legacy database on Microsoft Access, or you have multiple tools with different functions. Now, as everyone here knows from your feedback, this type of fragmentation doesn't make it easy to produce accurate insights. Now with Codeless One, we've taken AI and allowed you to automatically customize and configure solutions based on your requirements and your business processes. So we see this as the new way, and so do many of our clients as well too. We had worked with a client quite recently, which is an innovator in the life sciences space. Now, they were originally project managing their entire operations on spreadsheets and other spreadsheet-based tools. However, once they shifted to Codeless One, we created custom apps that were designed for each business unit and the way they worked. And here were some of the results that they were able to achieve. Now, finally, I wanted to thank everyone here for attending the webinar today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A here. It looks like we have a couple here. Will the recording of the session become available? Absolutely. We're going to be sending the recording after to all the folks in attendance, so that way you can get a recap. The two biggest takeaways for the webinar today for that you can build customized solutions using AI. And once those solutions and apps are built, you can use AI automation from within the app. Okay. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to contact me directly. My email is here on the screen at marcus.chang@codeless1.com. If you'd like to check out our website and see what kind of apps you can build, you're always welcome to submit a free trial at www.codeless1.com. There you can learn about how we use AI to generate these objects for custom apps. Let's see if there's any other questions here as well for the Q&A. Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank everyone here for attending today. Asif, any parting thoughts, ideas, remarks that you'd like to share with the folks today?
Yeah, I think just I think the key message that we like to leave you with is I think in this new era of hyper intelligence and hyper automation, and of course, Codeless One is a great example of that. I think there's an opportunity to rethink how we do things, right? I mean, traditionally, if you want to build an application like the one I built for you, it would have taken people probably a couple of months even to write requirements and maybe a year to build it iteratively in sprints perhaps, but still it's a lot of investment of time and money and opportunity. But now the game has changed. Now, for a lot of your business applications, whether it's internal apps or apps you're building to collaborate with your customers, your suppliers, your partners, you can now build these apps very quickly and iterate through it. And you're much more willing to fail. So this becomes fail fast, learn fast model, right? As opposed to spending even 3 months in an agile project and then realizing you've missed the mark, right? This becomes a new paradigm. And I please reach out to us if you need any help. Of course, you can learn how to use the product, which, as you've seen, is relatively straightforward. There are advanced capabilities that we can teach you, or there are videos to teach you. But let us know how we can help you. I wish you happy hunting and a wonderful day. Have a good one, guys.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Take care now.
Bye bye.